Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we don't just, skim the surface. We really plunge right into the heart of the most compelling ideas and insights out there.
Glad to be here.
Consider this your intellectual home, really, a place where curiosity leads the way and hopefully understanding follows.
That's the goal.
Today, we're setting off on I think, a truly transformative journey into a book that has seriously reshaped how many people think about personal finance. It's Morgan Housel's fantastic bestseller, The Psychology of Money.
It's a great one. Really shifted perspectives for a lot of folks.
Absolutely. Okay, let's unpack this. Why, in this whole complex world of finance, does our mind, our own behavior, often seem to matter infinitely more than, say, the raw numbers or the latest market predictions?
It's such a fundamental question.
Our mission for this deep dive is basically to pull out the most powerful insights, the really compelling stories, and the practical wisdom from Housel's work.
Yeah, the stuff you can actually use.
Exactly. We want to arm you, our listeners, with a fresh perspective that could genuinely transform your relationship with money. Maybe spark a deep curiosity about why true financial success isn't just about what you know.
All right, the textbook stuff.
But fundamentally, it's about how you behave.
It's a critical, almost revolutionary distinction that Morgan Housel makes right from the start. What's fascinating here is how he just fundamentally challenges that prevailing idea that finance is purely quantitative.
All spreadsheets and algorithms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Driven by logic,
Yeah.
cold, hard data. Housel suggests that while we, often obsess over the math of the returns, the rates, the valuations, the real drivers of our financial outcomes are, well, less like physics and much more like psychology.
Okay.
It's our emotions, right?
Yeah.
Or often irrational biases and the unique, specific tapestry of our personal experiences.
So this raises an important question then. If our financial lives are so heavily influenced by these subjective things, how much of our financial reality is actually shaped by our past? By stuff we might not even consciously connect to our money decisions?
That's precisely the heart of his argument. It's brilliantly simple, but it hits hard.
Yeah.
Housel's central idea, put really elegantly, is doing well with money isn't about being smart. It's about how you behave.
Right. It's not knocking financial knowledge, is it?
Not at all. It's more about reorienting our understanding of what actually drives success. He champions the idea that financial skill is, in many ways, a soft skill.
Huh. Like communication or empathy.
Kind of, yeah. It doesn't necessarily demand, a super high IQ or a fancy degree in economics. Instead, it really hinges on your attitudes, your beliefs deep down, and crucially, your emotional responses when it comes to money.
That really does challenge a lot of traditional financial education, which is often heavy on the theory.
It pushes the discussion right out of pure economics and into this much richer, more complex, endlessly fascinating world of human psychology. It sort of suggests self-awareness might be a more valuable financial tool than any algorithm.
Wow.
And this psychological element, as you said, it's intensely personal, it's deep-rooted. Housel makes this point that just resonates. Your personal experiences with money make up maybe 0.00000000001% of what's happened in the world, but maybe 80% of how you think the world works.
That's a wild statistic, but it feels true somehow.
It's not just a clever line. It's a profound statement about the lens we each use to see money and risk. Our financial worldview is almost entirely colored by our unique journey, right? The generation we're born in, the money lessons or lack thereof from our parents, our income, the cultural values we picked up, even the economic stability of the country we grew up in.
All as background factors.
Exactly. These things forge wildly different perspectives on money. It explains why an investment that seems totally reckless to one person might seem perfectly logical, even rational to another.
Like someone who lived through the Great Depression versus someone who came of age in the 90s tech boom.
Precisely. Someone who experienced the uncertainty, the fear, the scarcity of the Depression will just inherently view savings and security completely differently than someone who grew up seeing markets only go up.
That firsthand fear must leave a mark.
It leaves indelible emotional scars, absolutely. But it can also build a kind of resilience that, no amount of reading about it can replicate. They've seen the absolute downside, and that experience fundamentally rewires how they approach risk.
That distinction, based on personal history, it feels absolutely vital. Our past experiences, especially the tough ones, can leave these deep, sometimes subconscious emotional imprints that just dictate our future actions.
Definitely.
Think about the impact on someone who, as one source described, had like $1 million net worth before the 2008 crisis, only to see it all evaporate, and then some, basically in a week. plunging into $300,000 of debt.
Oof, that's brutal.
That kind of financial shock doesn't just change your portfolio. It fundamentally reshapes your entire view of risk, of opportunity, even how fallible you think you are.
It transforms you from just a participant to, like, a scarred survivor.
Yeah, and those scars, while awful, can also become sources of incredible wisdom, maybe caution.
And these really striking contrasts in life experience are maybe best shown by Housel through those memorable stories of Grace Groner and Richard Fuscone.
Ah, yes, those two. So different.
Grace Groner's life was one of, well, quiet discipline, incredible simplicity. She was an orphan secretary, lived in a modest one-bedroom place.
Never married, no kids, didn't even own a car, right?
Exactly. Yet when she passed away at 100, she left an astonishing $7 million to charity.
$7 million? How?
Her secret wasn't a high-paying job or some complex financial wizardry. It was just humble, consistent savings from a pretty meager salary. Combined with, and this is the amazing part, 80 years of just hands-off compounding in the stock market.
80 years.
She basically bought shares in her employer, Abbott Labs, held them, reinvested dividends, and just let time do its quiet, powerful work. Her strategy was less about active management and more about incredible patience, just sheer endurance.
Her story is almost unbelievable. It's such a testament to that quiet discipline, that consistency. Now let's contrast that with Richard Fuscone.
Right, the other side of the coin.
This guy had immense privilege, incredible credentials, Harvard, University of Chicago educated, former vice chairman at Merrill Lynch Latin America division, retired, seemingly successful in his 40s to pursue personal interests, looked like the picture of financial triumph.
Absolutely, the pedigree, the career.
Yet, despite all that, the elite education, the high-flying finance career, the early success, his story took this dramatic downturn.
Yeah, it really unraveled.
Heavy borrowing, illiquid investments. Eventually, he declared personal bankruptcy, fighting foreclosure on multiple huge homes, apparently burdened by like $66,000 a month in mortgage payments.
Wow, $66,000 a month.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for you, the listener. What stands out to you about these two vastly different outcomes, Grace and Richard? It truly just lays bare the reality that conventional education, professional prestige, even being an expert in finance, it doesn't automatically guarantee personal financial stability, does it?
Not at all. It's a powerful, almost unsettling reminder. Expertise in the mechanics of finance just doesn't translate if the underlying behavior, the emotional discipline, isn't there.
Exactly. These stories just hammer home how much personal history impacts us, creating those deep emotional scars, but sometimes also incredible resilience.
Like someone who got burned badly in the stock market, they might develop this tendency to cling to losers for way too long, just hoping for a recovery.
Or sell winners too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Driven by this overwhelming fear of seeing those gains just vanish. This is why financial decisions are so often less about cold calculation and more about, well, hot emotion.
They make perfect sense to that one person at that one moment, based on their unique past, even if they look totally irrational to an outsider.
Exactly. You have to recognize the internal logic, however flawed it might seem from the outside.
That's such a crucial insight. It kind of dismantles the idea of a single right way to handle money. Everyone's right is colored by their own journey, their wins, their traumas. So if personal history is such a powerful driver, how do we even begin to override those ingrained tendencies if they're, not serving us well?
Well, House would say it starts with awareness, but look, it's an ongoing battle. It's not about erasing your history. You can't do that. It's about understanding its influence.
Okay.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about realizing these emotional scars, these deep beliefs, they aren't necessarily weaknesses. They're data points about yourself.
Interesting way to put it.
The key is to acknowledge them, understand where they came from, and then consciously build systems or habits that maybe mitigate their negative impact.
Okay, like setting up rules for yourself.
Exactly. Which leads us perfectly into the next big idea, because one of the most powerful systems for mitigating those emotional pitfalls is simply allowing time to do its work.
Compounding interest. Which brings us perfectly to this concept Housel calls, essentially, magic. And I agree, it is like magic because it's so non-intuitive, we often underestimate it, but it's incredibly powerful.
It really is.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This idea that just doing ordinary things but doing them consistently over a really long time can lead to truly extraordinary results. This
Mhm.
silent power of time is the unsung hero of building wealth. It's not about hitting home runs every year. It's about being average for an above-average amount of time. That alone can put you in the top tier.
That's a profound truth Housel brings out. He illustrates it so well looking at Warren Buffett.
The legend himself.
Right. The real secret to Buffett's almost mind-boggling wealth isn't that he consistently earned the highest returns. Lots of investors have had better percentage gains over shorter periods.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Buffett's genius, Housel argues, is his unparalleled consistency and, crucially, his sheer longevity. Get this, an astonishing 96% of Buffett's net worth, when the book was written anyway, came after his 65th birthday.
96% after 65. That's incredible.
He started investing super young and just stayed in the market. He let compounding work its silent exponential magic for decades upon decades.
What's the time horizon?
If he'd started just 10 years later or decided to retire and cash out 10 years earlier, his name probably wouldn't be synonymous with investing genius today. It just highlights that endurance, not just smarts, is the ultimate multiplier.
It's truly mind-boggling when you frame it like that. And Housel makes these abstract ideas so tangible, like take a small daily habit, a $5 coffee.
That classic example.
If you instead invested that $5 every single day over 40 years, assuming a pretty conservative 8% annual return, that small daily choice could quietly grow into over $440,000.
It really adds up.
Or that anecdote about Buffett viewing a $2 haircut not just as $2, but as potentially $10,000 if it was invested for 50 years.
Right, the opportunity cost.
Imagine taking that further.
Right.
A $5 haircut, maybe invested for 80 years like Grace Groner. It could theoretically become $10.3 million. No, we're not saying skip your coffee or never get a haircut.
No, definitely not.
These are just powerful illustrations of the almost magical things that happen when small, consistent amounts are given enough time. So what does this all mean for someone just starting out, or maybe someone looking to pivot their approach?
It means consistency, patience, and the discipline to stay invested are your most powerful allies. Often underestimated, but incredibly powerful. It's like a quiet revolution in personal finance.
Okay, that perspective then naturally leads to another really crucial distinction Housel makes. The big difference between getting rich and maybe even harder, staying rich.
Yes, these are two very different games. He argues they demand fundamentally different skills, different mindsets.
How so?
Getting rich often involves taking some risks, right? Having optimism, the courage to grab opportunities. It's about being bold, expansive.
Yeah.
But staying rich, that's a whole other beast.
Yeah.
It requires almost the opposite traits. Humility, a real survivor mentality, and, as Housel colorfully puts it, even a certain degree of paranoia.
Paranoia, really?
Well, maybe not clinical paranoia, but a healthy respect for risk. It's not about chasing the next big win. It's about diligently enduring the downturns and, most importantly, avoiding catastrophic mistakes, the kind that could wipe out years, even decades, of gains.
So survival is key.
Ultimately, financial success isn't just about accumulation, it's profoundly about survival.
That survivor mentality feels absolutely critical, and history gives us plenty of cautionary tales, right? People who were brilliant at getting rich but just couldn't hold on to it.
Oh, absolutely. Jesse Livermore is a classic example.
The legendary stock trader from the early 20th century.
Exactly. He was incredibly good at making vast fortunes, but he also lost them multiple times over. He had this almost uncanny ability to read the market, but his Achilles heel was preserving that wealth. He couldn't seem to say that's enough. His relentless chase for more, combined with excessive risk, ultimately led to bankruptcy and, tragically, suicide.
Such a stark reminder. Brilliant financial mind, undone by behavior.
His story chills you because it shows how high returns from undisciplined risk can vanish just as quickly if you lack the humility, the discipline to protect what you've built.
Okay, so to avoid that fate and build that staying rich mindset, what does Housel suggest?
He's a big advocate for straightforward discipline strategies like dollar cost averaging.
Right, investing a fixed amount regularly.
Exactly. It's simple but powerful. You make regular fixed contributions, say, monthly to low-cost index funds or ETFs, regardless of what the market's doing. Doesn't matter if it's soaring or plummeting.
The beauty is its simplicity, right? It's democratic.
Totally. It doesn't demand a huge income. And crucially, it removes the impossible task of trying to time the market perfectly. You just commit to investing consistently, whatever you can afford, and ride out the highs and lows long term.
It lets ordinary investors win.
It lets them win by benefiting from overall economic growth, without getting whipsawed by the emotional roller coaster of volatility. It's foundational precisely because it minimizes those behavioral traps.
And that's why things like low-cost ETFs and index funds should probably be the core of retirement accounts everywhere, right? Like 401ks, IRAs in the US.
Absolutely. Or SIPPs and ISAs in the UK, CPF in Singapore, superannuation in Australia, ROSPs, TFFSAs in Canada, PEAs, PERs in France, even the basic Livret A. The common thread is simple, consistent action over complex, high-risk speculation.
That's such an empowering message, especially for people who feel intimidated by finance. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it suggests the best path to wealth isn't about being a genius or finding some secret formula. It's about the quiet, persistent power of being average for an above-average amount of time, which, when compounded, can actually put you among the top 1% of investors. That's a truly profound message, don't you think?
It really is.
Yeah.
It shifts the focus from chasing the next hot stock, which is usually a losing game, to a much more achievable, less stressful path of sustained growth built on patience and discipline. Let time be your superpower.
Okay, let's dive deeper now and confront something really insidious, something universally human that challenges our financial well-being. This relentless drive for more and the almost impossible quest to define enough.
Ah, yes. The moving goalpost.
This raises an important question for all of us. In a world that's constantly screaming more at us through ads, through social media, showing off limitless consumption, how do we ever actually find and truly feel our own personal sense of enough?
It feels like a perpetual battle, doesn't it? Against our own wiring and all these external pressures.
Yeah, it really does.
And Housel argues so eloquently that trying to win this game by constantly having more than others is, by its very nature, unwinnable. There's always going to be someone with a bigger portfolio, a shinier car, a grander house.
The comparison trap.
It's an endless psychological treadmill. Bertrand Russell, the philosopher, had that great observation about historical figures envying each other. Napoleon envied Caesar. Caesar envied Alexander.
And Alexander envied Hercules, who wasn't even real.
Exactly. This ancient, unending chain of envy just perfectly shows the futility, the psychological cost of constant social comparison.
And social media today just pours gasoline on that fire, right?
Oh, absolutely. It exacerbates it tenfold. We're relentlessly bombarded with these carefully curated showreels of everyone's seemingly perfect, endlessly luxurious lives.
It's not reality, but it feels real.
And that constant idealized stream, subtly but powerfully, erodes our own sense of self-worth. It makes us question our own achievements and keeps shifting the goalposts for what we define as enough.
You're so right. Social media is like this relentless highlight reel. It creates this drip feed of external ideals, and slowly, almost without us noticing it, shifts our internal measure of success from genuine contentment to this ego-driven, look-at-me mentality, which leads us right into one of Housel's most brilliant insights, I think, the man in the car paradox. It perfectly distinguishes between just being rich and truly being wealthy.
It's elegantly simple, but so deep. Being rich is mostly about what you see.
The visible stuff.
Exactly. Flashy cars, big houses, designer clothes, the outward signs of success. But true wealth, Housel argues, is what you don't see.
Okay, like what?
It's the assets quietly growing in bank accounts, index funds, retirement plans. It's the unspent money that gives you options, the financial flexibility that exists totally behind the scenes, hidden from view.
He tells that story about being a valet.
Yeah, a great personal anecdote. Working as a valet at a high-end hotel in L.A., he'd see people pull up in Porsches, Ferraris, Lamborghinis.
And assume they were loaded.
Naturally.
Yeah.
His initial thought was, these people must be incredibly successful, super wealthy.
Right.
But as he got to know some of them, he found something surprising.
What was that?
Many weren't nearly as wealthy as their cars suggested. They'd often spent a huge chunk of their income on massive lease payments or loans, mostly just to project that image of wealth and status.
Wow. So it was all for show. That's such a powerful image. It really exposes how superficial, visible consumption can be. So what does this all mean for us, the listeners?
It means, fundamentally, that when you see someone driving a $100,000 car, the only thing you actually know about their finances is that they now have $100,000 less than they did before they bought it.
Haha, that's brilliantly put. It perfectly ties into that story about Rihanna's financial issues, too.
Oh, yeah, that one's classic.
After she reportedly overspent and sued her financial advisor, the advisor's famous response was basically, was it really necessary to tell her that if you spend money on things, you will end up with the things and not the money?
It sounds so obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lesson many people, especially maybe those who come into sudden wealth or feel intense societal pressure, often need to learn, sometimes the hard way.
It highlights this fundamental misunderstanding about wealth. As Housel points out, when most people say, I want to be a millionaire, what they really mean, deep down, is,
I want to spend $1 million.
which is literally the opposite of being a millionaire.
Exactly. True wealth isn't about piling up possessions to impress others. It's about accumulating assets that give you control over your life, your choices, and critically, your time.
And that's the highest dividend money pays, according to Housel.
Precisely. Not the thrill of a new gadget or the fleeting admiration of strangers. It's gaining control over your time, having the freedom and options to live life on your own terms.
And that kind of freedom, you're right, no amount of stuff can ever truly buy. It's about shifting from visible consumption, which often means debt and obligations, to invisible security, which buys independence and maybe peace of mind.
It's a total redefinition of what luxury actually means.
Okay, now, let's venture into a really compelling and sometimes, let's be honest, frustrating area. The mind's money traps. These cognitive biases, these emotional pitfalls that can just consistently distort our rational financial decisions, even when we think we know better.
Ah, the fun stuff. Behavioral Finance 101.
Okay, let's unpack this. These hidden psychological forces that can make us stumble often again and again, even with a solid grasp of financial principles. Understanding them is the first step to maybe disarming them.
They're incredibly common, and behavioral finance has done a great job highlighting them. Take overconfidence bias, for example.
Believing we know more than we do.
Exactly. Overestimating our knowledge, our ability to predict markets, or how certain our investments are. This often leads to excessive trading, taking on way too much risk, or putting all our eggs in one basket.
Like during the dot-com bubble.
A perfect example. So many individual investors caught up in this collective delusion of endless growth believed tech stocks could only go up. Their overconfidence led them to pour money into speculative companies, resulting in massive losses when it burst.
Right. Then there's the anchoring effect.
Yeah, that's where we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we get, like a stock's initial purchase price or some random market forecast someone threw out.
And that anchor prevents objective analysis later.
It can, yeah. It hinders objective analysis based on current value or changing fundamentals. That initial number just sticks in your head.
And we've all definitely experienced confirmation bias, right? Seeking out information that just confirms what we already believe.
Oh, constantly. It's our natural tendency to actively look for, interpret, and favor info that confirms our existing beliefs, while conveniently ignoring or dismissing anything that contradicts them.
Social media makes this so much worse.
Hugely amplified. Investors can easily create these echo chambers, only reading positive news about a company they're invested in. Dismissing negative stuff is just FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Which stops you seeing risks.
Totally. It prevents objective analysis, leads to entrenched decisions, and can blind you to real impending problems.
Okay, what else trips us up?
Another big one Housel discusses is present bias. Our deep-seated tendency to want immediate rewards, however small, over larger benefits that are further away.
Like choosing the daily fancy coffee over long-term savings.
Exactly. It shows up all the time in personal finance. Impulsive spending that coffee, a spontaneous online buy instead of diligently saving for big goals like retirement or a down payment, the instant gratification just feels better now.
Even though the future reward is much bigger.
And then maybe one of the most powerful and destructive, loss aversion.
Hating losses more than loving gains.
Precisely. The psychological pain of a financial loss feels way more intense than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. This asymmetry can cause incredibly irrational decisions during market downturns.
Like panic selling at the bottom.
Exactly. Selling everything at the worst possible time, locking in losses just to stop the emotional pain instead of sticking to a long-term plan.
We also see herd behavior a lot, right? Just following the crowd.
Absolutely. That irresistible tendency to follow the actions and feelings of the larger group, especially in volatile or speculative markets, it leads to bubbles. Again, think.com. So many jumped in based on market hype, not fundamentals.
And today there's FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yes. Particularly potent now. You see it acutely in crypto markets sometimes. Social media hype, viral trends, these get-rich-quick stories can drive people to jump in hastily based on momentum.
Only to get crushed when it corrects.
The emotional pull of seeing others seemingly profit can just completely override any rational assessment.
So these biases Plus raw emotions like fear, greed, euphoria. They really mess with our heads.
They massively sway financial choices, often overriding logic. Fear can paralyze you, stop you taking calculated risks needed for growth. Greed can drive excessive risk-taking, especially when markets are booming.
It feels like a minefield.
It can be. But Housel offers this brilliant reframing for volatility, those inevitable market ups and downs. Instead of seeing it as a fine or a penalty for investing, think of it as a fee. It's the price you pay for the privilege of earning long-term returns.
Huh. Like an admission ticket to the market.
Exactly. If you accept that fee mentally up front, budget for it, it can significantly reduce the psychological pain and help you stay disciplined. Stick with the plan even when things get rocky. It's a powerful shift from feeling like a victim to feeling like you have agency.
That's a profound mental shift, turning a punishment into just a cost of doing business. We saw these emotions and biases play out so clearly in the dot-com bubble, as you said. Overconfidence, confirmation bias, herd behavior. It all inflated the bubble until it popped spectacularly.
Huge losses for individuals who chase those highs.
And crypto markets, as you noted, seem especially vulnerable due to the volatility, the decentralized nature, the speed of social media.
Right. The dramatic boom and bust cycles we saw in, say, 2017 and 2021 clearly showed how FOMO and herd behavior can drive prices way out of sync with any underlying value.
So is there hope? Can we fight these biases?
The good news is, yes. While they're powerful and ingrained, they're not unbeatable. It starts with rigorous self-examination.
Knowing yourself?
Crucial. Regularly question why you believe what you believe about your money, your investments. Honestly, assess your own vulnerabilities to these common errors. Awareness really is the indispensable first step.
Look back at past mistakes.
Yes. Look back at past decisions, good and bad, with a cool head. Try to see the patterns in your own behavior. Identify your personal money traps.
And having a plan helps.
Hugely. House would emphasize that having a robust, thought-out financial plan significantly reduces the number of real-time, emotionally charged decisions you have to make. It's pre-commitment. It removes opportunities for mistakes driven by fear or greed.
So it's about tailoring strategies to your own psychology.
Exactly. Personalized approaches, portfolio diversification, risk management that accounts for your tendencies, plus ongoing education and that crucial self-awareness.
So it's not just knowing the rules of finance, but really knowing and then mastering the rules of your own mind. That feels like the real game changer.
That's it in a nutshell.
Okay, let's shift focus now to something Housel stresses relentlessly. The absolute importance of recognizing and then actively preparing for life's inherent unpredictability, both in our personal finances and in the bigger economic picture.
Right, the things you don't see coming.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's less about being a perfect fortune teller and more about investing in preparedness rather than clinging to the illusion of prediction. Because, as Housel says, the biggest risks are usually the ones you just don't see.
Indeed. He spends a lot of time on the often uncomfortable truth that success in life and finance frequently involves a big slice of sheer luck.
That can be hard to swallow sometimes.
It can. Denying it, he argues, can actually lead to poor decisions, an inflated sense of your own abilities. We all know successful people who claim every win was purely down to their brilliance and hard work.
Conveniently forgetting the lucky breaks, the timing.
Exactly. Take Bill Gates. Obviously a genius, incredibly skilled, but he also had this massive stroke of luck early on.
The computer access.
Yeah. In 1968, only about 1 in a million high school students worldwide had access to a personal computer. Gates was one of them at Lakeside School. It was like winning an educational lottery that gave him this incredible head start in software.
1 in a million. That really puts it in perspective. His intellect was key, but that early access was pure fortune.
And Housel shares that deeply personal, harrowing story about his own view on risk changing.
The skiing accident.
Right, skiing out of bounds with 2 friends. He felt the ground move, survived a small avalanche, shaken up. Later that day, he decided, kind of randomly, not to do a second run on that slope, offered to drive around and pick them up instead.
And his friends.
His friends went back down that same run, tragically triggered a massive avalanche, and both were killed.
Oh my God.
That harrowing event, surviving while they perished, seeing how life can hang by a thread of small decisions and random chance, it dramatically, irrevocably changed how he saw risk.
What stands out to you about these stories? Bill Gates' luck, Housel's tragedy. It really just underscores how much of life and our financial journeys is influenced by this delicate mix of our choices and just random stuff we can't control. It forces a kind of humility, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And that deep humility, born from understanding randomness, leads directly to Housel's crucial concept of room for error, or you might call it a margin of safety.
Building in a buffer.
Exactly. It's not just a conservative finance thing, it's a psychological strategy. It means planning on your plan not going perfectly.
Expecting things to go wrong sometimes.
Right. Consciously building in buffers, a solid savings cushion, being really wary of too much debt, and critically avoiding any risk that has the potential to completely wipe you out.
Because you have to stay in the game.
Precisely. The goal isn't maximizing every single return. It's ensuring survival at all costs. Because compounding, that magic we talked about, only works if you're still playing. Housel points out you can be wrong quite a bit and still end up wealthy, as long as your mistakes are never so ruinous they take you out completely. It's investing in resilience, not infallibility.
So what does this all mean practically? You can't prepare for every specific disaster. You can't predict every black swan event.
Impossible.
But you can build resilience into your finances. It's like earthquake preparedness in California. You know one's coming eventually, but not when or where, so you don't try to predict it. You build things to withstand it.
That's the mindset. Investing in preparedness, not prediction. Acknowledge the uncertainty and fortify your position against the inevitable surprises life throws at you.
This pragmatic view also connects to that interesting psychological dynamic Housel explores, the seduction of pessimism versus the power of optimism.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Pessimism often sounds smarter, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds more serious, more intellectual.
It gets more attention because we're wired to see threats as urgent. That historian Deirdre McCloskey noted, "For reasons I have never understood, people like to hear that the world is going to hell." John Stuart Mill said similar things way back in the 1840s.
So pessimism feels smart, but...
But Housel argues that over the long haul, optimism is usually the better bet.
Yeah.
Simply because the world, despite all its problems, generally tends to progress and improve. However, the real genius isn't choosing one or the other.
It's finding the balance.
Exactly. Here's where it gets really interesting. The key to long-term lasting success isn't being purely optimistic or purely pessimistic. It's cultivating the ability to let both coexist in your strategy.
Like Bill Gates again.
Perfect example of this duality. When he started Microsoft, he had this incredibly audacious optimism. A computer on every desk. That was the huge vision. Yet he ran the company right up until he stepped down as CEO with extreme, almost paranoid pessimism. He famously insisted on having enough cash to run the whole company for a full year with zero revenue coming in.
Wow. Optimistic vision, pessimistic operations.
That combination, swinging for the fences with the goal, while simultaneously preparing for the absolute worst, is a hallmark of truly enduring success in business and personal finance.
That duality also applies to long-term personal planning, doesn't it? Housel says we're terrible at predicting our future selves.
Notoriously bad. He cites studies showing like only 27% of college grads end up in a career directly related to their degree years later. It shows how much our paths and priorities change from what we thought when we were younger.
So long-term plans need flexibility.
Absolutely. Long-term decisions, especially those made early on, need built-in flexibility. You have to accept that your mind, your goals, your desires will inevitably evolve. Well, the first rule of compounding is to not interrupt it unnecessarily.
Meaning stay invested.
Right. But the reality of life's twists and turns means rigid, unbending plans are often doomed. You need to avoid the extremes of financial rigidity, build endurance through adaptable strategies, and accept that changing your mind is okay, even necessary.
This raises an important question for you, the listener. How do you find that balance between long-term discipline and the reality that your goals will change? It's about building a financial structure that can bend without breaking, adapting as your life story unfolds.
It's about resilience in the plan itself.
Okay, let's explore what Morgan Housel, with his sharp psychological focus, considers the absolute greatest intrinsic value of money, the highest dividend it pays, beyond just assets or showing off wealth.
He sums it up so powerfully. Controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays.
Control over time.
He argues that, at its core, money's most valuable gift isn't the stuff it buys, but the freedom and options it gives you. That unparalleled sense of control over your own life.
Agency. Feeling like you're in the driver's seat.
Exactly. If there's one common denominator for human happiness, Housel argues, it's people wanting to control their own destiny. He shares that personal reflection, which many can probably relate to, about reaching financial independence, maybe becoming mortgage-free.
What's the real shift?
The fundamental change isn't necessarily stopping work or having zero worries. It's the control you gain over your time. the ability to consciously decide how to spend your most precious, non-renewable resource.
Like choosing to sleep more, read, pursue a passion.
Or travel, spend time with family, whatever it is for you. This newfound control offers a huge reduction in daily stress compared to being constantly constrained by money worries.
That really resonates. It suggests true happiness isn't about having the most wealth or stuff. It's about using money smartly to build the life you actually want, on your own terms. What stands out to you here about the kind of life money seen this way can truly buy?
It's not the objects, is it? It's the autonomy, the freedom that money, understood properly, can unlock.
Yeah.
It's a total shift from external validation to internal satisfaction. Adam Smith, the father of economics, wondered why people work so hard, often way beyond basic needs.
Right, what drives that?
Housel suggests it's often that desire for status, recognition, just more. But he argues that past a certain point, and it's probably different for everyone, more money doesn't actually buy more happiness.
That man in the car paradox again, wanting the fancy car not for the car itself, but for the respect you think it will bring.
Exactly. But true wealth, the unspent money, the assets quietly growing, that's what grants control over your time and options. While the flashy spending actually reduces that wealth and the freedom it offers, it's a powerful contrast. Outward show versus inner security.
It's such an illusion, isn't it? When you see someone in a super fancy car, you rarely think, wow, that person's cool. You usually think,
Well, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool.
Exactly. This ingrained social comparison, it's that unwinnable game Housel talks about. The goalposts just keep moving. This raises an important question. Do you think there's a real number, a specific amount, where you truly hit FU money, or is that just a moving target, constantly pushed higher by changing desires, especially now with social media showing Mr. Beast-level wealth?
It feels like the definition of wealth is changing, right? Especially for younger generations. Maybe past generations saw a clean pickup truck as prosperity.
Now it's private islands and jets.
Kind of feels that way sometimes. Housel himself would probably argue that defining your number is a moving target, an illusion of a fixed destination. He even mentions his own definition of financial contentment kept expanding as he hit previous goals.
So the core idea remains.
The core idea is that money's enduring power isn't buying endless stuff, but offering independence, flexibility, control over choices. Those things are far more valuable than any material item. Think about Chuck Feeney.
The duty-free shoppers guy.
Billions, right?
Amassed $9 billion, but lived incredibly modestly, one-bedroom apartment, flew economy, and gave basically all of it away to charity during his lifetime. Lived like a monk, they said.
Wow, that's incredible conviction.
His story makes such a powerful case for living well below your means, even when your means are vast. And the ultimate freedom found in defining your personal enough instead of always chasing more. It's a potent lesson. True wealth isn't just what you accumulate, but what you don't spend, and the control that non-spending gives you, the ultimate quiet luxury.
Well said.
Okay, let's pivot slightly and look at broader economic forces and how our psychology influences how we react to them. We'll stay strictly impartial on any politically charged topics, of course. Housel's insights apply to the macro landscape, too.
Definitely. A key area he touches on, using an impartial historical view, is tariffs and their potential impact. He describes the global economy not just as transactions, but as this complicated, intricate machine.
Finely tuned, interconnected.
Exactly. And it suffers, often unpredictably, when people try to fiddle with it using blunt tools like widespread tariffs. It's crucial for listeners to grasp that a tariff is, fundamentally, a tax.
And who pays the tax?
Ultimately, the customer pays. Just like sales tax. Even if it's initially levied on the importer, that cost almost always gets passed down the supply chain and lands on you, the consumer.
That's a really important point that often gets lost in the debate, isn't it?
It does. Now, Housel, being pragmatic, acknowledges there could be specific, legitimate cases for tariffs.
Like for national security.
Right. He mentions the N95 mask situation during COVID, when the U.S. realized it was heavily reliant on China and Korea. A targeted tariff there, aimed at boosting domestic production for public health security, could be seen as rational. Same logic might apply to some military gear.
But broad trade wars are different.
Very different. He stresses the strong consensus among serious economists. No serious economist thinks that you should have a trade war with broad, indiscriminate tariffs. The economic downsides almost always swamp any perceived benefits.
And history backs this up.
Starkly. The huge widespread tariffs in the 1930s are a famous example. They initiated and then severely worsened the Great Depression by shutting down global trade.
So if broad tariffs persisted today, what are the likely outcomes?
Housel suggests two highly probable results for the average person. First, significantly higher prices on a whole range of imported goods as costs get passed on. Second, and maybe more worrying, potentially empty shelves for products that just become too expensive to import.
And it damages trust.
Beyond the tangible stuff, yes. A sustained trade war erodes trust and predictability in the global economy, that invisible but vital asset for cross-border business. The challenge is, these things are dynamic, unpredictable. Consequences evolve daily, making firm predictions hard. It's about probabilities, not certainty.
So what does this all mean for us individually? It sounds like it highlights the need for that delicate balance again, understanding the why behind policies, their potential impact.
And building that personal financial resilience, that room for error we talked about, without getting swept up in the daily noise or emotional reactions.
Right. Be prepared, not panicked. Speaking of big shifts, Housel also dives deep into automation and AI and their impact on the future of work.
Yes, another huge topic. He points out this recurring historical pattern. Optimists often underestimate the long-term, transformative effects of really disruptive new tech.
Like the Wright brothers and the airplane.
Exactly. They mainly saw it for military reconnaissance, totally missing the scale of global commercial aviation that would follow. Housel argues today's AI disruption is proving even faster, more pervasive, and potentially way more far-reaching.
The numbers on automation are staggering. That steel plant example.
Yeah, Gary, Indiana, 1950. 5 million tons of steel needed 30,000 workers. Today, maybe 8 million tons with only 2,000 workers, all thanks to automation, robotics.
It's a mind-blowing shift in productivity per person, like the move from farms to factories.
Precisely. But Housel argues the impact on labor is getting progressively harder to navigate. Moving from farm to factory, workers could adapt manual skills.
Okay.
But moving from manufacturing to tech was harder. An auto worker in Detroit couldn't easily become a coder at Google.
Different skill sets entirely.
And now, with AI's sophistication and speed, the disruption is accelerating. We're already seeing AI agents building software autonomously. Companies like OpenAI achieve world-changing things with maybe fewer than 100 employees, using AI for work that took thousands of human hours.
So the idea of, say, a truck driver easily retraining for a specialized AI job.
Housel is blunt. It's preposterous. The challenge isn't just increasing, it's fundamentally changing. It demands entirely new kinds of human skills.
So in this rapidly changing world, what are the timeless skills we should focus on? For ourselves, for future generations, like Housel's own son.
His advice is surprisingly fundamental, almost old-fashioned, but deeply relevant. He emphasizes skills like learn how to communicate effectively.
Talking to people.
Talking, listening, writing clearly, and crucially, learn how to get along with people you disagree with.
That seems more important than ever.
He argues these are absolutely critical, timeless skills. More important, maybe, than specific technical knowledge like calculus or coding, which might become obsolete. In a world driven by complex tech, but also marked by diversity and polarization amplified by social media, the ability to articulate thoughts, actively listen, navigate disagreements constructively. That's paramount.
The human skills.
These high-level, profoundly human, largely permanent skills provide adaptability, emotional resilience, no matter how tech or the economy shifts. They're the bedrock of collaboration, understanding things AI can't fully replicate.
This raises an important question for you, the listener. As the world shifts seismically, what permanent human skills are you actively cultivating in yourself? To ensure your own adaptability, resilience, and long-term well-being. It's about leaning into empathy, critical thinking, collaboration, the things that make us uniquely human.
Well put.
Well, we've taken a truly deep dive, a real intellectual plunge into Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money. And wow, what an illuminating journey it's been.
It really covers so much ground.
We've explored everything from the quiet, almost magical power of compounding interest to the noisy, often destructive traps of social comparison and keeping up with the Joneses. We've peeled back the layers to see how our behavior, our emotions, our personal histories really are the unsung heroes or sometimes the silent villains in our financial lives.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the profound overarching message from Housel's work really is this. Genuine financial success, and the peace of mind that hopefully comes with it, it's far less about mastering complex math or being a market timing genius.
It's not about being the smartest person in the room.
Not primarily. Instead, it's overwhelmingly about understanding and then diligently mastering your own mind, your behaviors, your emotional responses to money.
It's personal.
Hugely personal. It's about realizing there isn't one single definitive answer that works for everyone. Rather, it's about embarking on that journey to find an answer that works uniquely for you. An approach tailored to your individual psychology, your history, your biases, and your ever-evolving life.
As we wrap up this incredibly insightful deep dive, I want to leave you all with a truly provocative thought, something to chew on. Morgan Housel shared that he wrote this deeply personal letter to his newborn son, expressing a wish that his son would one day actually experience what it's like to be poor.
Wow, this is unexpected.
Right. Not for hardship's sake, but so he could truly, viscerally understand the profound value and scarcity of a dollar. Housel believes some crucial life lessons, especially about money and resilience, are best learned firsthand, by experiencing the downside, feeling that constraint.
Makes you think.
So, I invite you, our listeners, to reflect. What experiences in your life, maybe uncomfortable ones, challenging ones, have most profoundly shaped your understanding of money, its value, its limits, and critically, how will you consciously carry those invaluable lessons forward, shaping your financial story with more wisdom, more intention?
That's a powerful closing thought.
We truly hope this deep dive into the psychology of money has educated you, inspired you, and maybe even empowered you a bit, hopefully leaving you with a fresh perspective and a greater sense of control over your own financial narrative.
That's the aim.
And we genuinely want to hear from you. What resonated most deeply with you from our chat today? What psychological money trap have you maybe overcome? Or perhaps what financial challenge are you navigating right now where a shift in mindset could really help?
We'd love to hear your stories.
Share your thoughts with us on social media using #TheDeepDive or drop us an email. Your insights honestly enrich our community and help us tailor future deep dives to what really matters to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, as always, for joining us on this essential exploration of the mind and money. Until next time, keep digging deeper, keep learning, and keep thriving.